Welcome to another journey through the life of a literary icon. In today's episode, we explore the fascinating world of Jane Austen, the woman whose wit, wisdom, and keen observation of human nature turned her into one of the most beloved authors in English literature, though her name is now associated with timeless classics like Pride and Prejudice and Sense and Sensibility. Jane Austen lived a life that, on the surface, seemed quiet and uneventful, but beneath the stillness was a brilliant mind, a sharp tongue, and a courageous pen that dared to write about love, class, and the constraints of society. Jane Austen was born on December 16, 1775, in Steventon, a small village in Hampshire, England. She was the seventh of 8 children in a lively, intellectual family. Her father, Reverend George Austen, was a clergyman with a vast library, and her mother, Cassandra Lee Austen, came from a higher social background. From an early age, Jane showed a deep curiosity about people and the world around her. Surrounded by her brothers and her only sister, Cassandra, Jane developed a strong bond with her family, especially her sister, who would become her lifelong confidant and closest friend. Unlike many girls of her time, Jane was fortunate to receive a solid education. She attended boarding school briefly, but much of her learning came from reading and observing life at home. She devoured novels, poetry, and history, and began writing short stories and parodies by the time she was a teenager. Jane's earliest writings, now referred to as the juvenile, were composed between the ages of 11 and 17. These included humorous plays, short novels, and letters filled with satire and wit. Even as a teenager, Jane had a gift for poking fun at romantic cliches and social norms. By her early 20s, she had completed the first drafts of what would become Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, and Northanger Abbey. But despite her talent, Jane Austen struggled to find a publisher. In a world dominated by male authors and strict social rules, it was difficult for a woman to break into the literary scene. Jane never married, though she had a few romantic entanglements. One notable flirtation occurred with a young man named Tom Lefroy, but due to social class differences and financial limitations, the relationship never developed into marriage. In 1801, the Austen family moved to Bath, a fashionable city, but the change was hard on Jane. She wrote very little during this period. When her father died in 1805, the family faced financial uncertainty and instability. It wasn't until 1809, when Jane, her sister Cassandra, and their mother moved to a cottage in Charlton, that her creative spark returned. This peaceful village would become her true writing sanctuary. In 1811, Jane's first novel, Sense and Sensibility, was published anonymously, simply credited as by a lady. It received positive reviews, and more importantly, it sold well. 2 years later, Pride and Prejudice followed, with the memorable opening line, "It is a truth universally acknowledged, that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." Her books quickly gained popularity among readers, admired for their wit, intelligence, and insight into human relationships. She continued to publish novels, including Mansfield Park in 1814 and Emma in 1815, both receiving critical and commercial success. Despite her rising fame, Jane continued to live a modest life. Very few people knew her true identity as the author of these popular novels. In 1816, Jane Austen's health began to decline. She suffered from a mysterious illness, now believed to have been Addison's disease or possibly lymphoma. As her condition worsened, she remained determined to keep writing. Even in her final year, she began work on a novel titled Sanditon, which she was unable to complete. On July 18, 1817, at the age of just 41, Jane Austen passed away in Winchester. She was laid to rest in Winchester Cathedral, and while her grave mentions her personal virtues, it makes no reference to her work as an author. Jane Austen's novels were not just love stories. They were powerful critiques of the limited roles available to women in the 18th and 19th centuries. She captured the inner lives of her characters with precision and empathy, challenging the assumptions of her time through subtle humor and deep, emotional intelligence. After her death, Northanger Abbey and Persuasion were published posthumously, finally revealing her name to the public. Today, Jane Austen is recognized as one of the greatest writers in English literature. Her works have inspired countless film adaptations, modern retellings, and even fan fiction. But perhaps most importantly, her stories continue to resonate with readers across the world, offering insight, laughter, and timeless wisdom. In an age where women had limited voice and visibility, Jane Austen dared to write quietly, thoughtfully, but with enduring power. Her legacy isn't just in the pages of her novels. It lives in every reader who finds comfort, courage, and truth in her words. She was and remains the quiet genius who forever changed the world of fiction. Thank you for joining us in celebrating the life of Jane Austen. If you enjoyed this biography, don't forget to like, subscribe, or share with fellow book lovers. Until next time, keep turning pages.